Building essay for reasons why traveling is so important. This article was written by Colonel Edward Mitchell upon his return from Greece and Italy this spring. He writes about how his visit abroad changed his perspective and helped him gain a global perspective. Gladwin, I was incredibly fortunate to have the opportunity to travel to Greece and Italy. While traveling through these two beautiful countries, I learned many things. I learned the ancient city of Pompeii had the rover that the world gymnasium comes from the Greek word gymnos, which means no, and that the Romans used to fill up the Colosseum with water in order to have naval battle. However, what I will take with me for the rest of my life from this trip didn't not come from a guided tour. Number one, it opens your mind. Traveling opens your mind because you begin to see how people do things differently than you and still get by. We become so accustomed to how we do things that we believe it is the only way, and that anyone who acts differently is a failure. Traveling changes this from big things such as religious practice, practices to small things such as how you order your food. Traveling opens you up to all types of changes. These changes can get frustrating at times. For example, if you ask for one water in Italy, you will most likely still get bottled water and be charged for it. When ordering so later you have to pay first before telling them what you want to take these changes and apply them to everyday life. You realize that if someone does things differently than you, it's okay. Maybe that kids are differently than you, talk differently than you. Traveling makes you realize that's alright because there are other people in the world that would think your way of doing things is well. Number two, you get to experience different cultures. The most fun part of traveling is experiencing different cultures, new food, new music, new language. It's so amazing how different it can be from ours. One feature of Roman culture I found interesting was that they air right their clothes. In the United States, we would find it as a hassle since we like to get things done right. However, it's Italians value tradition. Neither is right, neither is wrong. Another interesting thing was how superstitious the Italians are. Our tour guide provided us with a lesson on hand gestures, not to make, as the Italians will take it if you are cutting the evil eyes on them. And the evil spirit jewelry and decorations were sold throughout Greece. In the United States, we aren't that superstitious. So it was amazing to see this. Trying different food was amazing as well. In the United States, we seem to think we are accustomed to all different types of food since it's very easy to find a Mexico, Italian, Chinese, or Greek restaurant. However, these foods are quite different when made in their home countries. The country Europe has the most different sauce than the other sauce used here in gelato making the state tasks like ice milk. Number three, you are able to see new scenery. One of the most amazing aspects of traveling to Europe is how different everything looks. Cobblestone streets, neighborhoods, and tiny apartment buildings are also different from what we have here in the US, especially in New York City, where the roads are long and wide. It was amazing to see streets where barely one car can pass through. The cars themselves were so much smaller in the US. It's quite common to see big SUVs or minivans not in Europe. Even the cities themselves were so much different. In the US, when we think of a city, we think of something like New York City, huge skyscrapers and buildings made out of glass. This is what I expected to see when I traveled to Europe for the first time. Rome and Athens were nothing like that. There wasn't a skyscraper inside, and most of buildings were extremely old. Here in the United States, everything seems so new compared to Europe. There were a Pisa in Rome, literally literally sitting on top an ancient stadium. Our tour guide took us into a home in Athens where a man raided his basement to find a huge clock which was over 1,000 years old. The mountain ranges were also beautiful. Coming from Long Island, I have only seen a few mountains in my lifetime. Being in Delphi, a city in the mountains of Greece, was breathtaking. The mountains and valleys looked like they went on forever. That made the courthouse was totally more enjoyable. Number two, for how fortunate you are to live in the United States. If there is one thing I will never forget from this trip, is sometimes the tour guide said to us on our last day in Rome when saying goodbye to us. She began to talk about how important traveling is and how she hopes this trip has given us an urge, urge to want to explore the world more. At the end of her farewell, she said, even if you decide that you never want to travel again, remember what you said and that you are also lucky to have been born in the United States of America. America truly is the land of opportunity, a meritocracy. If you work hard, you will succeed. Never forget that. The story stuck with me and made the realize how lucky I am, how fortunate I am to live in a economic system that rewards hard work and innovation and en- encourages people to succeed. A country which believes in individual individual rights and tries to defend them. A country where even our poor people can afford their own apartments, unlike the Romans, where if wherever a rich, a rich person can only afford to rent a room in an apartment. I blow the look on people's faces after to told them I was American. One woman asked me to take a picture for her, and upon hearing my accent, accent as if I was American. I said yes, and her response was, "Whoa, you are beautiful." Afterward, I hear her say to her daughter, "He's from the United States." It made me realize how fortunate, fortunate I am to come from such a great country. Traveling is truly an amazing experience. I have learned a lot from the four European countries I have traveled to, and will continue to learn more as I further explore the world. Traveling doesn't have to mean going all over the world. However, you can learn so much just from traveling to another part of the United States. The way people living in the South can be very different and interesting compared to here in the North. Even exploring the different boroughs in New York City will open your eyes to different cultures that IBM a total process. Traveling if leads you speechless, then turns you into a storyteller. Do you or one of your students have a story you'd like to contribute to the ACIS blog? We are always looking for contributors, so let us know in the comment section below. Thank you.